r/AskReddit by r/Zeus. What was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? Borrowed my dad's camera. Found out he was gay. I found a letter between my parents back when my dad was in the army, 10 years before I was born, when cleaning out the house. He was saying how they should get a divorce because it just wasn't seeming to work out. When I was 16 they did end up getting a divorce. I've never talked to them about it. Edit. Phrasing. Leaving work late one evening, I saw the our director and CFO in a dark office shredding papers. No, that's not an euphemism. I didn't say anything but quietly walked on down the hall. 2 weeks later we were raided by the secretary and several people were charged with cooking the books. Back in 1997, I started work at a new job and took over the office of a salesman who had recently been fired. I was in it, using the same computer that had been set up for sales. My first task was to install all the software I'd need. The computer hard drive was almost full, so I poked around and found a ton of folders filled with porn. Went to my supervisor and he said to delete it, warning me that the salesman had been fired for downloading porn. Over the next few weeks, I kept finding secret porn folders on the company's network. Not only had he downloaded enough porn to maximum out his computer's HD, he had the network at about 90% capacity. When I was done deleting all the folders I could find, the server capacity was less than 50%. Dude was seriously addicted to porn. Worked for a downtown metropolitan hotel for a long time, and I've seen a lot I wasn't supposed to see. Probably the worst was a kid with an old man. Checked this guy in at like 1 in the morning. Not uncommon because people travel to different times, but he was alone. Like an hour later he asked for something like a towel or blanket. Anyways, dispatched our runner to deliver it. After the runner comes to me and says he thinks something is wrong because he caught a glimpse of someone and the old guy was trying hard to block the entrance. Being that we were supposed to take stuff like human trafficking seriously, I asked our maintenance to cut his power so we would get a call to come up to try and fix the problem. He doesn't. I go up with him to apologize for the inconvenience because the guy was also a torture member. Sure enough we hear a kid in the bathroom hiding. Tried to ask who the kid was and the old guy tried everything to shut us down from throwing his status around to bribing. Called the cops and let them deal with it. Edit. Didn't expect this to gain so much traction. Here's some additional info for people that have been asking. I don't recall the specific charge or if I was even told so. Use your imagination. I don't know the age of the child. I only saw him briefly one time when the cops showed up. I don't know the age of the guy. This was in Southern California, as specific as I'd like to be. Did you end up finding out what the story was? Sort of. I had the next 2 nights off. Was called in my last day to meet a detective to take my statement with HR and a lawyer from the hotel chain's legal team. Talked to the cop a bit afterwards and she told me to just kinda keep quiet about it all because I could be called to testify if there was a trial. Never ended up getting called, but for a few months I would run the old man's name through our in-house system to see if there were any company notes on his account. Took like 2 months, but his status was revoked and his name popped up on our DNR, do not rent, list. So didn't learn specifics, but learned it was bad enough for me to talk to cops and be prepared to testify if needed. I once arrived early to pick up a girl for a first date. She was renting a small garden apartment behind a bigger house. It was just after dusk, and I walked around the corner. The sliding door was standing open, and she was inside walking around, brushing her hair, wearing only her underwear. She did not see me, so I just walked back around that corner and waited another 10 minutes. When I walked round again she had a dress on. I never told her. Edit. Since a few asked. The date went well. I only got to see her underwear again several weeks later. You have to be careful later when she asks, "Want to see my underwear?" That you don't say, "I already have, thanks." When I was about 16, I was snooping in my parents' wardrobe. Found a diary written by my mother when she was 14, from the year 1970. Read some beautiful and brilliantly written entries about meeting and dating my dad, who was 16 at the time. Had to read a little between the lines in some slightly later entries as they were written with such flowery language. In one such entry, all of a sudden she discloses that she's had an abortion performed by my grandfather, an anesthesiologist. She never told anyone. I was in elementary school playing basketball. I shot the ball, but it ended up going over the fence on the other side was someone's backyard. My teacher requested that after school I knock on the door of the house where the ball had landed to get it back, and so I did. I did not expect a woman wrapped in a towel with one of her nipples revealed to answer the door. I was shocked, but carried on with my mission. For those wondering, she stated she did not have the ball. I was downloading a game on my uncle's computer, so I was looking for the files to complete the setup, and I clicked on a file called games. Few videos popped up, so the curious girl that I clicked on one and there was it, a Chinese girl literally fucking her couch. That was my first porn experience. I was 7 and my sister was 5. And it doesn't stop there. We decided to show our mom. I'll never forget the trauma on her face. My mom gave me an old laptop of hers when I was about 13, and I was scrolling through random pics she had left on it of my little brother's football games, and then boom, nudes of my mother. Around 3 years ago I met my wife's, then GF, mother. She was scrolling through pics she wanted to show me of my wife, and then boom, her titty pics. She had had reduction surgery. She was embarrassed, but we all just joked about it. Bonus story, I've also seen her sister scantily dressed for her profile pic of some odd sex stuff she's selling. And that was on purpose. My wife was there. Bonus story, my wife accidentally painted the word dildo on my middle bed, so I guess we are somewhat even. Back when I was a teenager, we hosted a New Zealander at our house for a couple weeks. Guy gets to our place after the flight, and about 10 minutes later I'm walking around my house to see where he's at. The door to his room is partially open, and the dude is laying face down on the bed and humping the ever-living duck out of a pillow. I backed away slowly like Homer when he saw Apu cheating on his wife. I felt bad for the pillow. Edit. For all of you asking, no, it was not a wool pillow, and it didn't resemble a sheep. As a New Zealander, I apologize to you and the pillow. What the actual duck? Years ago a colleague had an old smartphone that he brought in to give to another coworker as his broke. The phone was sitting on the new owner's desk, but she hadn't yet tried it out as it was still charging after months of not being used. We were talking about how cool it was with the coworker. Smartphones were not widespread yet, and I picked it up to see how it felt in my hand. I pressed a button and the first thing that I saw was a Google search for lump on anus. I quickly put the phone back down. This must have been the last thing he searched for when he last used it a long time ago and forgot about it. When I was 11 I walked into my mum's bedroom and saw my mum and her husband doing a 69. We never spoke about it. Years later when I was 24 she walked into my bedroom and saw my BF naked with a boner. We never spoke about that either. My dad's AA chips. Learned it's why my parents got divorced. Proud of him for being in recovery though. Me and a friend snuck away from a house party at 2 AM once. We wanted to go to this local abbey. We were exploring the grounds and generally having a nice time when we see 2 cars stop nearby. Instinctively we hid in some bushes and witnessed what was clearly a large drug trade. We definitely were not supposed to see that. We waited for them to finish their business and then we headed back to the party. My camp counselor's PP. Lock the bathroom door buddy. Happened to a friend of mine. She was dating this dude forever. They broke up and he moved out. She was devastated. About a month later she was cleaning out old stuff and found a receipt for a ring that he had bought for her and never given her. That's how she found out that he had once intended to propose before he fell out of love with her. She was hurt pretty bad about that. That happened to me. I can tell you it isn't a lot of fun for the guy either. The day I returned, that ring was not great. Thank you very much for watching until the end. For your daily dose of dopamine, please subscribe. I post daily Reddit videos. Either way, I wish you a great day.